Hello everybody. Welcome to another screencast by me, Arun Ravindran. My site is arunrocks.com. Before we start the screencast, let me first thank you for an unbelievably great response for my first screencast on Django, which was building a blog in 30 minutes. I think it had got about 40,000 hits on YouTube, and a lot of you thanked me because it was a great tutorial for beginners who'd like to see what can be done in Django visually in the form of a video tutorial. But some of you felt that there have been a lot of blog tutorials, and blogs, while they're great, they are more like a personal project, while most of you wanted to create an actual site, a more realistic site in Django, and wanted to have a tutorial on how to build it. So there you go. Now I'm going to actually tell you how to make a site which is similar to Hacker News or Reddit. Basically a site where you can post links, where you can submit a particular topic or a headline and point it to a URL. You can also vote other people's links or vote them downvote as Reddit calls it. You can also create some kind of a forum by commenting on each of these posts. Going forward, you can also see your most fresh content on top, and so on and so forth. So this tutorial I intend to cover in 3 parts. Unlike my previous tutorial where there was a time limit, there is no specific time limit here. I'd be using Django 1.5, which is the latest Django at this point in time. The outline of the first part is something like this. We'd be covering what we are going to create in the form of an objective or in the form of building the models. We are going to talk about how to set up the virtual environment. We're also going to talk about model managers. We're also going to create a basic template, though we are not going to cover much about templates in this tutorial. We'll tell you how to actually write templates using Django's templating language. We'll also cover how to use the generic views, especially the class-based views, which has been lately introduced in Django. We'll also cover pagination. In part 2, just for information, we'd be actually talking about how to log in and log out of the site using our custom pages. We'll also actually make it a social application by using Django registrations and enabling people to register and log in to the site. We'll also do some kind of CRUD view, create, update, and delete view for each of your submissions. And finally, in part 3, I plan to cover comments, how you can add comments using the built-in Django comments framework, how you can use voting, first without Ajax and then with Ajax, similar to how you see in Hacker News. Next, we'll actually cover how you can actually use ranking or aging of a particular link so that very old content, even if it is highly voted, does not appear at the top. So that's how I plan to cover the outline of this particular tutorial. Before we go ahead, I'd like to give you a quick warning. Whatever being taught here is mainly for the interest of learning Django. It's not suggested that you replicate all these things in production. There are a lot of things which I do not cover, something like testing or using South for database migrations, or even version control. None of these things are actually covered in this particular screencast in the interest of time. So let's talk about what we are going to build. I propose that we build a site called Steal Rumors. What is Steal Rumors all about? Well, it's a site for fans of Superman. in case you're interested in hearing about rumors about the upcoming movie Man of Steel. I don't know, it might be released by now, but at the time of this listening. But if you're interested, just head to this site. You'll see a lot of rumors in the form of links, similar to the form of links you'll see on Hacker News. After I thought of this name, I realized that it's probably a bad pun on anything that steals rumors from other sites, similar to what many social networks do today. So depending on your sense of humor, you can think of what the site actually means. So let's get on with the installation. First thing I'd like to tell you, as different from my previous tutorial, is that we're going to create a virtual environment. So for that, you need to actually install something called a virtual environment wrapper. So in Ubuntu, which is the operating system that I'm using, I use sudo apt-get install. I already have virtual environment wrapper, so it'll actually give you commands like mk virtual environment, which makes a which is the short form for make virtual environment. I'm going to create a virtual environment called Django Rocks. So as you notice, not only a new virtual environment called Django Rocks has been created, it has been also made active, and your command line automatically reflects that the new environment is active. Now I'll go ahead and use pip, as I've used in my earlier tutorials, to install Django. I'm mentioning the version number here because the number of versions of Django keep increasing day by day. At the time of the Screencast, Django 1.6 alpha has been released. So in case you don't want to break anything that has been mentioned in this tutorial, you would probably want to fix this particular version number after Django. But if you're confident that it'll work, you probably just have to type pip install Django. Okay, so now Django is being installed. Before we go any further, I'd like to show you what the application functionality looks like in the form of a quick diagram. If you are going to use a model view controller kind of an architecture, you would probably know that model is the most important part of the functionality. So if I'm going to use ASCII art to draw the model of this particular application, that is Steel Rumors, it will probably have two boxes for links and votes. So this is a model for link, representing a link which is submitted to the site, and this is representing a vote. And the third box would be a model representing users, which is already built into Django. Now I'd like to draw the relationship between these models in the form of a line. So the relationship between a link and a vote is that for every one link you can have multiple votes. So star stands for 0 or more votes. For each vote you could have an association with one user. So it's like a 1:1 relationship. So this is the gist of the entire application. This might look very simple, but I think this will do because for the purpose of our application, these three models will do fine. Now let's exit artist mode and let's go back to our application. Okay, great. So Django has been installed, and we can actually now start creating the application. Django admin start project. Name of our project is Steel Rumors. You can see that the directory structure has been created. Let's go to the created directory structure. Let's quickly change manage.py to an executable as we had done in the previous tutorial. Now Once again, we are going to enable the admin side of the application, which is probably the most useful part of Django. So let's do that quickly. Let's go to settings inside the SteelRuma project, and use the default SQLite, the built-in SQLite database, which is quite easy to use for developmental purposes. Let's give a name for the database as I don't know, database.db, and let's uncomment the Django admin app. So this we probably do in almost every application, right? And another place we had to change is, of course, urls.py. We had to uncomment these lines, which has been helpfully added for us, so that saves our time. So once you have done that, all we have to do is do sync db. So we'll do that quickly. It's asking me if I need to create the admin, so I'm going to call myself admin, and the super user admin has been created. Let's quickly check if it's working fine. Of course, we had to use the admin URL. Brilliant. So as you can see, the admin application has been enabled. Okay, so now let's go and create the main application for this Django project. So there's a default application which is created in any Django project, but we do not usually have to create all the functionality in the default project. For the purpose of our application, I'm going to create a simple project, a simple application called links, start app links, and it would be a new directory. Inside this directory, we would have our models and views and tests. Now, coming back to what the models that we are going to create, if you remember from our diagram, we have links and votes and users. So let's start ahead with the links class. So this is the most exciting part of building a Django application. What really goes into a link? Now, a lot of thought has been gone into making what I'm going to show here, but for the time being, I'll probably just go ahead and type what the properties which I've found are. First, I would need a title. This is basically the headline that is shown for each submission. I expect it to be a field of characters having a headline. Headline is probably the name that I would like to show rather than title if I'm going through the admin interface. And the maximum length is 100. The submitter should be a foreign key to the user database, the user model built into Django. So let me import that first. Now I can add a foreign key. user. I'd also like to keep a track of when it was submitted on. So I use models.datetime field. Automatically it should be the current date, which is now. I'm going to add a field called rank score. I'll explain this at a later point in time. Basically, it is the score which I assign to a particular headline or a particular link, which is different from the number of votes that it would get. So this would be a floating point. Next comes, of course, the URL which should be submitted. We have a handy URL field in Django. Can give it a more friendly name called URL. It should be about, it could be up to 250 characters. I'll also put blank equals true in case if the URL okay, I'll add one more field called description, and this is a text field. So similar to Hacker News, if URLs are not mentioned, it's a self post, and you can write something more descriptive in the description field. As before, it's a good practice to call Unicode or define Unicode function, which gives the string representation of this particular model. So I'm calling it link. Next, let's define the vote class. Vote is basically a one-to-one with user class and a one-to-one with link class. So even though a link can have multiple votes, from the vote class point of view, it's a foreign key to the link class. So let's define class vote. And it should have two fields. Voter is basically a foreign key to user, and the link, of course. Once again, let's define the Unicode method. So here let's make it a little more descriptive, saying that someone voted for a link. I know I'm using the old style string formatting interpolation, but this works for me. Username and self.link.title. So this would give the two models that we require for our application. Now let's very quickly create an admin.py for the same. So here we are going to use a built-in admin application. We are going to import the two models from our previous file. So as you can notice, I'm using the relative imports here, which is considered a good practice. So we need link and vote, and our admin would be called simply link admin, and it would be model admin. It's practically empty, so let's call it pass and let's register using admin.site.register. So we have link, and it should be registered to link admin. Basically, we're using the built-in model admin with its default. Let's do the same thing for vote. So why are we doing this? We are trying to create the admin interface for these models so that we can easily edit them from the built-in Django admin interface. Now, the next important step is to add it to settings. So let's go to installed apps, part of settings, and just as we enabled admin, let's add links to the admin page. So I hope it's called links. Yeah. So once we do that, now we can run syncdb and ensure that Django would create the necessary database objects corresponding to the models. Go directory up. Okay, there was a typo. Hopefully it should work now. Okay, so now let's run the server and see if our application objects indeed work. So let's see that we have actually created the proper admin interface that we need. Now it doesn't look that impressive if we don't have any sample data inside, so let's create some silly data which suits the theme of the site, which is Steel Rumors. So let's go ahead and create some links. Brilliant. So now we have a lot of trivia or rumors about Man of Steel. Next, let's go and use some of the class-based views for creating a view or for creating our home page. Let's go to views for that. So it's an empty start. Let's import a generic view. Views.generic import ListView. So since we have a list of link objects, we are going to use the ListView, and we need to create a class called link ListView, and we're going to derive it from ListView. We're going to mention a model equals here. So for that we need to import the models. Again, we are using relative imports for importing link and vote. So we have a list view. Now how do we link this to our home page? Using URLs, of course. So let's go to urls.py. Let's add a simple pattern which says URL r beginning and end. That's the home page. Link. So we have to first import that. That comes from Steel Rumors dot links dot models dot views import link list view. maybe it is just links. As view, and name is just home. So let's see if that worked. Of course, it says that the template does not exist. So now we have to just create the template at that particular folder. For that, I suggest that we go to Steel Rumors application. Inside that, we just have to create templates. And inside templates, as the error message helpfully showed, we need to create links. And inside links, we should have linked list.html, which we'll create an Emacs. So the idea is we can add any application which is mentioned in installed apps and use the templates folder in that. So let's quickly add that in settings. We haven't added Steel Rumors, so that takes care of calling the templates folder inside Steel Rumors. Now let's quickly write a template for link in object list. So object list, because we are using linked list view, and the template would be provided with a list of objects in a default name called object list. Now you can change this. Your designers would thank you for that, but we are fine with the default. Let's use the default. We're basically creating an ordered list of headlines or rumors in this case. So let's first create the ahref. So this refers to the URL, link.url, and let's use a bold tag for the title, link.title. So that will be bold. Let's close the a tag, and let's close the li, and let's close the for loop. And the ordered list. So let's refresh the page to see if the error message is gone. Of course, we have to enable the server. So let's open a fresh tab and enable the server there. Steel Rumors, work on Django Rocks, and use this tab just for running the server. Great. Brilliant. So now we have our home page finally, which shows the list of all the rumors that we just added. But something is missing, and that is nothing but branding. Yes. Before we go any further, let's add branding, which is nothing but adding the base template, base.html. Let's create a very quick HTML body with the heading Steel Rumors. And let's use block content, which is the standard name, end the block and end the body and end the HTML. copy the same to our list, and before we forget, let's add extends base.html. So very quickly we have added branding. Now that looks better. So next we have to see what's missing from our page, which is votes. If we go back to our models, you will remember that we don't have a vote count on each link. This is because if you know a bit of databases, it's very easy to count how many models are linked to a particular model using the foreign key relationship. So we just need to know how many votes are linked to this particular link. So if I were to use the shell, I would probably go something like this. Say start the shell in Django and say import link model. Now if I look at all the model objects, you don't see what the details are, but if you look at the first one, I'm using the shortcut underscore, you see that it has a lot of elements, but it does not have a handy count of how many links or how many votes are connected to this link. Now there are many ways of solving this problem, but I find that the most elegant way of solving this problem is using a model manager. Now a model manager is nothing but what we see here as objects. So link.objects is basically calling the model manager for link, which is the default model manager. Now we need to create a custom model manager which actually shows all the default attributes. In addition, it needs a one extra attribute, which is votes, which is a model manager which has votes. So let's see how we can create a model manager quickly. For that, we need to use a class which is derived from model manager. I call this link vote count manager, and I derive it from models.manager. We need to override a function called getQuerySet. That's all we have to do. So let's do that. It just has to return what the super user says. So since we are deriving it, we can actually use the base class or the parent class function. So how do we do that in Django is, or in Python is, you invoke super link vote count manager, and we pass the self object, and we use get query set, and we have to add a particular field or a particular attribute, which is a count. So for that we have to do two things. We have to call dot annotate, which is a way of annotating any query set, the results of any query set with some aggregate functions. So aggregate functions are functions like sum, count, or average. If you know SQL, you'll probably remember all these as aggregate functions. So we have to first import this from models. So from django.db.models, we import count, And then we'll use the annotate. Just because it's getting too long, I'm going to the next line. We should use the name that we use to add the count, which is votes. I say count vote, which is the foreign key linked to link, and I close annotate. And after that, I need to order. The reason for this is normally a query set is returned in the order that it is created. For example, the primary keys go from 0 all the way to infinity. So I don't want that order. I want to order it by the vote count. So for that, I use order by in decreasing order of votes. So I now have a vote count manager. So this is the vote count manager that I need to pass to my linked list, which is my generic view. For that, first I have to connect this to my link model. So I have to add this after my attributes. I call it with votes link vote count manager. Now, just to be sure that I still have the default objects model manager, I'm just going to define that. I'm going to say it is the default manager. So now we have with votes, and we can use this for our link list view. Let's quickly jump to views. And now here we have the option of mentioning. We have already mentioned the model link, and by default the query set which is used is link.objects.all. Now let's override that and call link.withVotes, which is our new model manager, .all. Let's see how this works. Of course, we have not changed our linked list or template. So let's quickly do that. Let's go to the template, linked list, and let's add within the square brackets link.votes, which is our new attribute which is computed as a count. Does it work? Yes, it does. Now, how do we check if it works in terms of adding votes? Let's just add it through the admin, right? Let's quickly add a vote from the admin to any one of those. Let's pick another random one. Let's refresh the page. Wow. So you can see that not only the two votes appear, they appear right on top. So the ones with votes are actually appearing above the ones which do not have votes, basically in descending order. So this is a very good start for our Steel Rumors website. Now, before we wind up the show, let's have some fun. Let me quickly add something. It should be the equivalent of some random monkeys using our site. It's pretty much how a social network should look like, in my opinion. Well, so we have about 100 votes randomly distributed. Looks nice, actually. We can do one small thing. We can actually paginate our results because our default linked list view, which is in our views, actually has an option that says paginate, and all you have to say is paginate by how many elements you want to appear in a page. If you say 5, you can see 5 elements. Brilliant. So now we can actually see the top 5 highest voted elements in our Steel Rumors site. So I think we have reached a logical point for us to conclude our part 1 of the tutorial. Keep tuned for part 2 of this tutorial. Till then, thanks a lot for watching. Goodbye.